All right, ladies and gentlemen, Baron here. So yesterday was a huge announcement by War Thunder saying that War Thunder ships are coming soon, that closed beta testing will be happening this year in 2016, and open beta testing is scheduled for 2017. So since we're in August, we still have got a few months left of 2016, approximately four-ish, so we've got a little bit of time. It's not necessarily tomorrow, but it's likely to happen soon. We've also got the PT-109 being announced, and we've got further. We're going to discuss a little bit more about the clarifications that Gaijin has said about large ship naval battles, because right now it seems to be up in the air. They're going to start with smaller ships. They may have indirectly alluded to the fact that there will be destroyer gameplay, but larger ships, specifically cruisers, battleships, and carriers, it's not for certain that they're going to be in the game. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I found a pretty good discussion board made by Gaijin, but first we're going to go over John F. Kennedy's PT-109. So if you buy it, it says that you get access to naval battles in the closed beta test, and it's available in the online shop right now. A few people commented in the video yesterday saying that they bought them. The hype is real, boys. It's War Thunder ships. Some people, it seems to be that opinion is kind of differing, right? Right now, some people are like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. A lot of people realize that PT boats and smaller boats like that, they're going to be rather action-packed. Furthermore, World of Warships has nothing like that at all. That kind of maneuverability and speed mixed with the pretty potent firepower of torpedoes, right? You've got destroyers and stuff. So there's not really a game like that, but I think a lot of people, when they think about it, it's like when tanks, you look forward to like the Tiger tank, T-34s, Joseph Stalin variants, the big boys, right? And that's the same with ships. A lot of people are thinking, oh, well, if there's no big ships, what's the point? I disagree with that, but I can also understand a little bit of the frustration in not being able to get, or not really having any concrete news saying, hey, I'll be able to play the Bismarck, I'll be able to play the Yamato, I'll be able to play the Iowa. Big ships like that. Plus, maybe there's going to be Royal Navy in this game, unlike World of Warships right now. But anyway, back to the PT-109. Patrol torpedo boats manufactured by Elco Company were designed to carry out a wide range of missions, not only inshore, but also out on the open sea. The United States Navy placed an order for the production of 94 of these 80-foot torpedo boats. That's pretty large. Immediately after the country found itself entangled in the Second World War, #Pearl Harbor. These boats were highly successful, and as a result, they were actively upgraded, chiefly via increased firepower. These torpedo boats proved excellent in both destroying smaller vessels and military operations against larger ships. The survivability of their design turned out to be particularly impressive. Even after taking critical hits, the ship's wreckage remained afloat long enough for survivors to escape, so that's not really relevant for us in the game, but hey, cool historical tidbit. An Elco boat's crew even survived a direct kamikaze attack, while another incident was destined to become a true legend, probably that of JFK. So, real quick, if you're a kamikaze pilot, why the hell are you attacking a PT boat instead of a larger ship? I don't know. Just me, though. So, on the night of August 2nd, 1943, an Elco Patrol torpedo boat designated 109 under the command of Lieutenant, junior grade, John Fitzgerald Kennedy set out as part of a group to patrol the ocean near the Solomon Islands in the Pacific. During the operation, the boat was subject to a surprise ram attack from the Japanese destroyer Amagiri. As a result of the ram attack, the PT-109 was literally cut in two, but even catastrophic damage and the resulting fuel explosion and fire failed to sink her, giving the captain time to gather the survivors. Despite a serious back injury, Lieutenant Kennedy acted smartly and decisively, helping to save all 10 surviving crew members and even towing an injured man behind him as he swam several kilometers. After reaching a nearby island, Kennedy scratched his coordinates on a coconut shell and sent his message with the local natives. A week later, the boat's crew was evacuated. This is how PT-109 helped to save the life of one of the USA's most beloved presidents and his crew. He got rammed by a destroyer. I'm just saying, a surprise ram by a destroyer is pretty impressive when you're on a small, nimble boat. But, this is like what you guys in the comments are like, Baron, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? That's what I'm doing to JFK right now. I guess we all bark up the tree, don't we? We've decided to add the legendary Elko boat, side number 109, to the game. So the hero of the hour is the early batch PT-109 patrol torpedo boat. This boat differs from the later versions in her armament. She has 4 21-inch Mark 18-1 torpedo tubes, 2 twin high-caliber 50 caliber Browning machine guns and rotating turrets, and an automatic 20mm Oerlikon cannon on the stern. She had a 12-man crew and could reach a maximum speed of 41 knots or 75 kilometers per hour for everyone else in the rest of the world. In War Thunder, this boat is fast and maneuverable ship killer that can reach capture points first and lay down suppressing fire on opposing ships and aircraft. Her 4 torpedoes, each weighing almost 1,200 kilograms, come in handy for destroying large naval targets, and a direct hit against a small enemy vessel will immediately send your opponent back to the dock. So this is stuff that we read yesterday, right? The PT-109 is one of the leading heroes. It's in the store already. It gets you access to the closed beta test. The torpedo boat is a premium vehicle and will provide bonus research points and silver lines. The PT-109 awaits her captain. Are you gonna buy it? Basically what they're asking, right? So we got a lot of that PT-109 information yesterday with the announcement of War Thunder ships. So now I want to go over a post made by Scarper on the forums, and Scarper is the Marshal of the Air Force. He's one of the admins, pretty well known. So several reasons. We're going to go over the reasons why they're focusing on the smaller fleet at first. Basically, why people are like, yo, where's the battleships and stuff, right? So first point that they're making is the mechanics. And this is a quote from the I'll link this forum post in the video description so you can check it out at your leisure while you're watching the action in the background. So even small motor gun boats could have a crew of more than 30 men, and this is not a small number. With our craving for realism, large ships will not fit into the dynamics of game battles. Even huge vessels are extremely vulnerable to aircraft, and they had very complex tactics, including reconnaissance, protection, long-range combat, and even rules to their movement do not comply with the gameplay. Fighting for frags and rewards. Capital ships move so slow that they cannot dodge any hits at the distance they are fighting at. The only possible solutions are either boost their speed by 5 times, at least so they can dodge or limit the shooting distance, but even if we boost the speed by 5 times, making it equal to the slowest aircraft, that won't solve the problem of shooting beyond visible range. But still, it is possible that one ship can destroy another with a lucky shot, just like how the Bismarck sank the Hood. Where the Hood at? 2 shots fired, battle lasted 30 minutes, Hood sank in 3. So maps could be made bigger, but that would involve hours and hours of traveling only to get taken out in the first few minutes of contact. There are a few of us who would be happy to do that, but there are just too many that wouldn't. So that they've got some fair points there. I mean, you got to remember that like this isn't World of Warships, right? There's no hit points, and stuff like that, and a few critical components that you can hit. World of Warships is a fun game, but the rest of War Thunder isn't like that at all. Tanks and planes definitely aren't like that. Economy. So ships do take longer to sink. Even one lucky shot can take a whole ship out of action without destroying or damaging critical modules. Even with critical damage, it would take hours for a capital ship to sink. Thus, without simplifying damage model to a HB system or the like, there would be no gameplay at all. How can you count kills then if a ship takes forever to sink and it wouldn't sink by the end of the round? Now remember, I'm reading this is not my own opinions. I'll go over my own opinions a bit later. In reality, destroying one capital ship could take hours and hours and sometimes seconds in case of ammunition explosion. With smaller vehicles, it is clear destroying an enemy brings greater rewards, and damaging an enemy also brings rewards or can take several hits to destroy an enemy. With ships that have crews of over 1,000 men, for example, it is much more complex. It is exactly the same for the economy and research and development. Even if we ignore big crews with a great variety of functions and qualifications in hundreds of different modules, there's still the question, how many millions of lions should a torpedo bomber receive that has taken down a capital ship with one lucky torpedo strike? For such battles, we would require a significantly redesigned game mechanic, a completely different gameplay, or maybe even just a completely different game. I threw that last part in there. That is not Scarber's verbiage. Point 3 is the imbalance in nations. As we know, and let's be honest about this, not all nations have had a heavy warship fleet that could match the opponents at the time. Like Russia, guys. What do you think about that? What do you think about the Russians not having that? There would be nothing up front that could appear in the development of the tree and compete on equal terms with their opponents unless we use small ships to begin with. So I think the only nation that really affects is the Russians, because the United States, French, Italians, Germans, and Japanese all had sizable navies. Well, it could affect Germany to a lesser extent, but Russia was the one that got affected the most. So, going back to Scarper and what he said, we aim not only to give you the very existence of warships and War Thunder, but also to create highly interesting gameplay as well, which would fit into the overall concept of the game. Allow each player the participation of all types of equipment in a single battle. The US, Great Britain, and Japan had indisputable superiority over the USSR in the number of aircraft carriers, which immediately deprives the USSR of this class of vehicle from the beginning. And yet it happened not because of the technical backwardness of the Soviet Union, but for the simple reason the Soviet Union had not experienced a great need for these ships, because the main fighting took place both on land and in the air. The same can be said for Germany. Their naval power was not the greatest at the beginning of our time frame. But how do we explain that to many players across the world who still want to be the best? Make no mistake, many players use the Soviet and German nations in game. At the same time, small class ships were common to all nations, and here they are just perfect for the most current vehicles represented in War Thunder lines of development. And point number 4, speciality. One more issue is that vessels such as battleships were used very selectively. Battles lasted for hours and even days, and often ended with an enemy retreat or not being destroyed. Moreover, ships such as the Yamato or Missouri were unique in their class, and definitely players wouldn't like to wait in the queue because the single Yamato for the current battle has already been taken, or dozen of battleships in one battle without a supporting fleet will be clumsy and easy target for aircraft. Most importantly, CBT is your chance to share your ideas that may affect the naval battle development process in War Thunder. In reality, this is quite a leap for our game, and we should remember that the reality of ship combat is very rarely reflected accurately in any game. Join the test, give us your feedback and suggestions, and we will create a mode that many will enjoy, not just a few. In summary, this isn't a definitive no, but an invitation to help steer the development so as many of us as possible can get enjoyment out of the unusual game mode. You know it makes sense. Smooth seas, Warriors. And then he says, feel free to discuss it below. All those points were fairly well made. That's not to say the community is going to be, there's going to be a decent portion of the community that is going to be disappointed and outraged, and in that disappointment and outrage, they might be a little bit blinded to the realities and limitations of War Thunder. That's the thing. War Thunder is a very fun game. Plane combat is very fun at arcade and RB level and sim battle. Tank gameplay is fun at arcade battle and RB gameplay. Now, that being said, there are 3 modes, which I just kind of stumbled into this. So there could be a very hokey system where naval battles could, like at the larger ships, could fit into arcade battle gameplay. I'm not entirely sure. Now, this is what I know. From my experience, I would say decent amount of experience in World of Warships, the ship class that I enjoy the most is the Destroyer. The ship class that I enjoy the least is the aircraft carrier. The reasons being is if you look at it just from a superficial standpoint, Destroyer gameplay is the most fast and highest risk and highest reward. You can get destroyed in seconds if you run across the wrong cruiser or get direct hit by a battleship firing HE rounds at you. But then again, you can dish out your torpedoes and do some absolute work. It's fast-paced. It's fun. That is the reason that I like destroyers the most, right? So, and when you go to cruisers are a lot of fun too because you have a really impressive fire rate. And battleships take a lot of skill, and they can be fun, but to me, personally, they're less fun than destroyers, right? So I remember World of Warships, I was saying from the beginning that I personally would like torpedo boats, PT boats. It'd be a lot of fun, I think, right? So there's a lot of stuff going into War Thunder that you need to account for. And the thing is, like they said, they didn't say no. And that's not to say I won't be disappointed that I won't get to try out what a battleship would play like in War Thunder, in this kind of more realistic setting where there's damage models and you have to account for all that. But I'm not really sure. All I know is that while those points were well made, and I do understand the logic behind it, and I can agree with it, and we'll go forward, and I will still I will thoroughly enjoy playing PT boats, but I wonder for how long, right? But then again, nobody knows shit right now. That's just the facts. We can all sit here in our chairs and make conjecture about what we think it's going to be like. Is it going to be awesome? Is it going to suck? Nobody knows. None of us have played it. That's the point I'm going to make. So while I am speculative of War Thunder ships, just like I was speculative before War Thunder tanks, and look at my channel now, I'd say the 90% of the War Thunder content I put up is tanks gameplay because I love it. I enjoy it thoroughly. Well, I don't know how ships are going to be. All I know is I'm going to play it in CBT, and I'm going to find out. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's start some productive discussions. None of this sucks because, or this is awesome, without any support. I want some good, well-mannered, articulate, and constructive conversations going on. You know what? But I'd say at the very least, the vast majority of us are very excited for War Thunder ships. And there might be a little bit of slight disappointment right now. But the fact is, we don't know where the game's going to go. CBT may decide it. Open beta test may decide it. It may change 2 years from now. Who knows? But guess what? I'm going to be there finding out.